Hello everyone, Zion here. I'm back with another gameplay commentary video on, it's going to be on greedfall. So now please hit like the subscribe button, share the video with friends and family, and here are my thoughts on the game Greedfall. I know I was supposed to make this a while ago. Well, I was going to make this at the end of the series and what I tell you and everything. So if not, I probably said that. But yes, let's get into it, shall we? Greedfall is an action role-playing game developed by Spiders and published by Focus Home Interactive. For the consoles, it's set in the early 18th century styled fantasy setting was uh yeah uh, uh the gameplay section on Wikipedia. The player alongside the settlers, mercenaries, and treasure hunters can explore what island. Locals are fighting off invading settlers to protect their supernatural beings. This game includes combat, diplomacy, stealth, etc., etc. The setting. The setting, an island paradise between discovered by the colonial forces and from several distinct nations, factional islands, but with magic and monsters. Players assume the role of Desarte, a natural human who's recently arrived on the island, able to ally with either the neighbors or inhabit the island or any other foreign nations competing to conquer and colonize the new land, while also trying to find a cure for a mysterious an illness that plagues Desarte and her homeland. The plot, so I'm not going to read this whole thing, but the plot is that Desarte, a noble of the merchant congregation, prepares to travel to the newly settled island, Tir Tirfadade, to serve the legate to the Prince Constantine, Deserte's cousin and newly appointed governor of New Serene, the congregation's capital on the island. The conquer hopes that the exotic environment of Tirfadade will yield the cure for the Malachor, deadly plague that spread across the continent. The group arrived from there in Deserte and quickly dispatched to establish diplomatic relations with the island natives. Two neighboring countries presence on the island, Deserte and several new allies learn. I don't know the language of the story, but uh, yeah. So this game on Metacritic got a 72 out of 100, PS4 72, same thing. So 70s out of 100 on all consoles. But my thoughts on the game: is it good? Is it the worst? No. Is it meh at best? Yes. Okay, so what I didn't like about the game is from combat to armors and everything, so I'll get into it. Okay, so the only thing I did like about the game that was open world, but other than that, that's it. Uh, what can I say about this game? Okay, so the combat of that game felt very lackluster. The classes, okay, you could choose from your playstyle, so it didn't really have a classes system. So it didn't really have classes. It was a classless system, which I'm okay with. But what I'm not okay is how they handled it. Uh, let's see. What's the best way of explaining this? Okay, so I felt like the classes was very limited in what you can do, or I guess the skills was very limited in what you can do. I played the whole thing as a mage, and and also I did, the sword stabby stabby. But other than that, it felt boring. I played that game the whole way through, and I only unlocked a couple of skills, and those skills I could probably level up, but I couldn't switch them out for other things, and I had to stick with those. And the stats system, I was confused on. Uh, the thing I didn't like about it is that the game forced you to travel to point A to point B via your map thing. You didn't get any mounts. You were forced to have companions, which I don't like. I preferred where you actually have the option of having companions or not. And the puzzles were actually kind of hard to do. I couldn't actually figure out the puzzles myself. I had to use the internet to do it. Uh, but other than that, the the game had like this arena thing where you could go in. The arena was super easy. I did a video on that. But in all honestly, this game was really boring. I don't know how this game got a 73 out of 100. The story was uninteresting. The setting was okay. I enjoyed the setting. 17th century Europe, cool. Magic, cool. Monsters, cool. But the way they actually uh, executed that was just awful. Now, if you want 17th century style, then play Witcher. Yes, I do love The Witcher. The Witcher is an awesome and fun game. But uh, let's go back to Greedfall. Greedfall, I generally had trouble playing the game. I generally did had trouble playing the game. It, I couldn't force myself to play anymore because it was really boring, and it was one of those games where I don't want to force myself to play. So with the addedness, Spider, if you're going to make another game, please don't make it like this. It's awful. The story isn't great, and me personally, I would have given this a 30 out of 100, maybe a 40, if I'm being honest. But I just can't fathom that this game actually got a bigger score. Uh, okay, so there was this quest where I had to figure out uh, and unveil a plot between this guy planning a coup against the entire nation, I guess. But in all honesty, I honestly got really tired of this game, and I I'm honestly planning on stopping this whole gameplay of Greedfall on the channel because it's really boring. I don't want to put myself through it. Maybe at some point I'll finish it, but I don't want to put myself through that again. Uh, but other than that, if you like this channel, please hit that like, subscribe, it helps out the channel, and I'll see you in the next one. Zaron out.